Woo! Alright. How old is this one?
12.
12?
13.
And how long have you had him?
7 months now.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, so not long.
Yeah, and is he a riding horse?
Well, originally he was going to be.
Yeah, you haven't ridden him much or at all?
No, we discovered that he's got a whole heap of things going on that...
Physical? Or needs some training?
Physical, mental, combination of everything.
What sort of things?
Well, he's just... He gets stuck a lot.
Like doesn't move? Like...
Yeah, and when he gets stuck or if he's scared or something, he'll go.
So he braces up, then runs off?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
What sort of horse is he?
Clydesdale Cross.
Clydesdale Cross, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. 12. And, but the people that you brought him off of, they'd been riding him before, like he was a riding horse? Or?
No, he just sat in a paddock for 5 years, but I got told prior to that there was a man that used to own him that used to absolutely beat him, abuse him.
Oh, so he had a bit of a hard life, eh?
Yeah.
God, there's too many of them around. Alright, and his loading, has he got any history with the loading? Has he had any trouble with it?
He'll load onto an angle loader truck.
Go onto an angle load truck.
It.
Okay. So something big and roomy.
Yes.
Yeah, and when it gets small like this one,
he just
says no.
Yep.
Okay. And what sort of things, does he do anything scary, or when he doesn't want to go on there?
No, he'll just back off and try to run away.
Just tries to run off.
Yeah.
Okay. And has he had any bad experiences with the horse float at all? Or?
Not that I know of.
Okay. And what's his name?
Rock.
Rock.
Yeah.
Hey, mate. Alright, well let's have a look where he's at. If you could just load him up, or try to load him up and see what he says. Okay, so we can see where we start from. That's good, he put his front feet up there pretty willingly, didn't he?
That's about as far as we get.
That's about it. They seem to do that a lot, don't they? Okay. Thanks, Ange. Okay, let's get to know each other, Rock. I'm just going to play around with this halter again. He looks a little bit touchy around the head here. Now I'm about to ask him to do something he doesn't want to do, so I've got to show him that I'm okay. See that shoulder coming towards me when he's nervous? Yeah. I'm not going to tell him off too much about that, but I've got to recognise it. It's a little bit touchy. So I presume that's what you mean by he goes so far and then he just runs off? I see. That technique might have worked for him before, I think. You right? And this sort of horse, when they're doing this sort of thing, you know, you don't want them running off, but you don't want to tie them to something solid or fix them down to where they can't run off here either, because that's just going to make them worse. Yes, you might be able to rub them, but they need to be able to let out that energy. If they're feeling a bit stressed and they feel like they've got to move, don't hold them there and force them to get used to it. Allow them to run it off. You know, like some people hobble them or tie them down to things, and all that does is, you know, build up that resentment in the horse. They need to be able to get this out. If they feel like they need to move, they should be able to move. And we as horsemen should recognise that and see that the horse is, you know, trying to tell you something, that he doesn't, you know, that they're not feeling comfortable. Doesn't mean we stop, because we're trying to desensitise the horse. Just rubbing him here, trying to let him feel me in his personal space. This horse is a bit different to the others. Trying to get in its personal space because it's a bit more claustrophobic, it seems. So if I rubbed it with a stick, it'd probably handle that a lot better. But I want to work on things that the horse can't do so I can build its confidence. Because when I put it in that trailer there, it's going to be up against things. It's going to be in a tight spot, you know. So it's got to be able to handle things next to it. If this horse was having real trouble with me in its personal space, yes, I would have to use a stick to get in that personal space. But he's not too bad. If I just work on it, he'll get around it. He'll get through this, like he's doing here. Good boy. Get a sniff out of that. I'd like him to flex towards me here, but it feels like he wants to step that leg at me. There, that's better. Oh, I nearly stepped that leg at me there. I want him just to flex towards me here. I want him to soften towards me, not to come in my personal space. Please, Brett. Try again. Loosen your shoulders, mate. That's the boy. Yeah, you do it there, yeah. You know, later on when we're riding this horse, they need to be able to laterally flex, and all this sort of stuff starts in your handling. It shouldn't be this great thing to when they, you know, go down for their first rides that they have to learn all this new stuff. It should already be started. You know, if he can't trust me enough to just bend his head around, good boy, then what sort of relationship are we going to have? How am I going to ask him to do something he's afraid of if he can't even bend his head around for me? Might do this one just without the stick, just so you guys can see how it's done without the stick as well. It doesn't always need the stick. Some horses it helps, you know, for ones that are pulling back on the end of the rope, that you can get behind there and it helps them out a bit. But this type of horse, he'll be okay without it. Plus I want to get in his personal space a bit more so he can get used to it. You know, if you're going to be riding a horse, he's got to be able to handle you in his personal space. So we're just working our way closer to the trailer here. I just want to see how he feels about it. That's how he feels about it. So that between me and the trailer is a bit scary. He's nice. This horse is he's trying. I like that in a horse. I like a horse that tries. You can see he's afraid. boy. Alright. We're going to try these barrels over here. We've got a couple of barrels up against the fence again. Try to give him a nice bit of release after he did his jump. No eating grass. You're on the job. Nice direction on the lead rope. Pushing against it. There, he's following it. This is all stuff we should teach our horses when they're halter trained. Good. Hey, trying, aren't you, buddy? A little bit zingy there. Just bringing him in nice and slow. I reckon if I had him up trotting, he'd be able to jump those barrels pretty easy, but I just want him to think his way through it, not rush his way through it. Want him to make a decision. Now he's making a decision at the moment, he's just saying no. But I'm just going to keep asking. I suggest you go over there. Not bad. Yeah, that was a try. There's nothing wrong with that. He was trying, he found it really hard. He couldn't handle it, so he shot forward. He come through my space a bit, but he was trying, you know. That was as much as he could do. That was his best. And you notice when he ran into me, I didn't try and hold my ground and use my strength, but at the same time I didn't step backwards to make it easy either. I might have got pushed backwards. So try not to use your strength on this. What I'd really like for this horse to do is just walk up to these barrels, have a stop. Have a stop and think about it. Have a bit of a rest here, instead of blasting through this spot. This is what's happening with the horse float. You know, he's getting to this resistance spot and he'll either blast forwards or backwards. Don't even want him blasting forwards into the horse float, because if he does that, he's rushed into the horse float. That means he's afraid. You've got an afraid horse inside a steel box. You don't want that. You want him walking calmly in there. It's bad enough when we start driving along the road, having it bounce around, let alone having him tight and tense to start with before you're going anywhere. Come on, buddy. Over this way. Yep. That's the way. Good thing he's a nice horse. So as they jump in the air there, if they're really a bit touchy, they can sort of kick out with that back leg. Now this time I want him to stop before he gets over the barrels. So this is the problem, not the trailer loading, it's this claustrophobia, this coming up to the barrels. Now he's hanging on that halter there, he's going left and right. When he goes towards it, not towards me, there towards the barrels, I just exaggerated that so you can see, that's when he gets the release. Not now, maybe a bit now. Ask again, no, so there's pressure on the halter, there's release, direction. Now, if I was just working on the jump, I would have stopped him after that jump and given him a reward. But I'm not working on that. I want to see him stop before the jump. This sort of horse, I'd like to see him walk up, just stand in front of that jump, and then to be able to go over the jump when I ask him, just by me pointing the lead rope. See this sort of thing here? You know, this is the sort of horse that pull back as well if you tied him up somewhere. And of course, because he hasn't learned to yield to pressure. You know, this is something they should learn when they're babies. This horse is 12 years old. When he goes forward, so there's a curve, so he could be going this way, there's a curve. When he's on that track, that curve that's heading towards the barrels, you give him release on that. If he's starting to go out that way, then he needs to run into pressure. He's coming in this way, again run into pressure. When he's on that nice curve, leave him be, because that's your release. That's where the horse will learn. I released a little bit because he's coming forward, but the problem was he was coming in a space at the same time. There's a release. That's getting better, that's getting better. Look this way, mate. See that little sign there? So when he's kicking his leg out, that's his emotions building up on the inside. You know, sometimes you'll see him strike their front leg or kick their back leg or start swishing. These are little signs that emotionally they're having trouble. So, you know, he's trying really hard. Point my lead rope there. Good boy. Oh, yes, that was fantastic. He just walked up there. Good boy. Yeah, I know you're finding it hard. You know, I've seen people tell him off about that sort of thing, but you know, we can't tell him off about that. You know, he's having trouble already. You don't need to tell him off about it. Okay, and just to get a bit more forward back in here, let's see if we can get these barrels jumped. Good. Alright, so that needs a bit more work. Don't want to harp on that for too long. We've made some good progress there. He's really putting in a good effort for me. Good on you, mate.